Good day, everyone. Chapter 2, Justifying Circumstances and Circumstances which exempt from criminal liability. Article 11. Justifying circumstances. The following do not incur any criminal liability. Number 1. Anyone who acts in defense of his person of rights, provided that the following circumstances concur. First, unlawful aggression. Second, reasonable necessity of the means employed to prevent or repeal it. Third, lack of sufficient provocation on the part of the person defending himself. Number 2, anyone who acts in defense of the person or rights of his spouse, ascendants, descendants, or legitimate natural or adopted brother or sister, or his relatives, by infinity in the same degree, and those consanguinity within the fourth civil degree, provided that the first and second requisites prescribed in the next preceding circumstances are present, and the further requisite in case the revocation was given by the person attacked, that the one making defense had no part therein. Number 3, anyone who acts in defense of the person or rights of a stranger, provided that the first and second requisites mentioned in the first circumstance of this article are present, and that the person defending be not induced by revenge, resentment, or other evil motive. Number 4, any person who, in order to avoid an evil or injury, does not act which causes damage to another, provided that the following requisites are present. First, that the able suit to be avoided actually exists. Second, that the injury fear be greater than that done to avoid it. Third, that there be no other practical and less harmful means of preventing it. Number 5, any person who acts in the fulfillment of a duty or in the lawful exercise of a right or office. Number 6, any person who acts in obedience to an order issued by a superior for some lawful purposes. Article 12. Circumstances which exempt from criminal liability. The following are exempt from criminal liability. Number 1, an imbecile or an insane person, unless the latter has acted during a lucid interval, when the imbecile or an insane person has committed an act which the law defines as a felony. The court shall order his confinement in one of the hospitals or asylums established for persons thus afflicted, which he shall not be permitted to leave without first obtaining the permission of same court. Number 2, a person under 9 years of age. Number 3, a person over 9 years of age and under 15, unless he has acted with dissentment, in which case such minor shall be proceeded against in accordance with the provision of Art 80 of this code, which such minor is adjudged to be criminal irresponsible. The court, in conformably with the provision of this and the preceding paragraph, shall commit his to the care and custody of his family, who shall be charged with his surveillance and education. Otherwise, he shall be committed to the care of some institution of or person mentioned in said Art 80. Number 4, any person who while performing a lawful act with the due care causes a injury by mere accident without fault or intention of causing it. Number 5, any person who act under the compulsion or irresistible forces. Any person who acts under the impulse of uncontrollable fear or of an equal or greater injury. Number 7, any person who fails to perform an act required by law when prevented by some lawful insufferable causes. Chapter 3, circumstances which mitigate criminal liability. Article 13 rather. Mitigating circumstances. The following are mitigating circumstances. Number 1, those mentioned in the preceding chapter when all the requisites necessary to justify or to exempt from criminal liability in the respective cases are not attendant. Number 2, the offender is under 18 years of age or over 70 years. In the case of the minor, he shall be proceeded against in accordance with the provision of Art 80. Number 3, that the offender had no intention to commit to grave a wrong as that committed. Number 4, that sufficient provocation or threat on the part of the offended party immediately preceded the act. Number 5, that the act was committed in the immediate vindications of a grave offense to the one committing the felony, his spouse, ascendants, or relatives by affinity within the same degrees. Number 6, that of having acted upon an impulse to so powerful as naturally to have produced passion or obfuscation. Number 7, that the offender had voluntarily surrendered himself to a person in authority or his agent, or that he had voluntarily confessed his guilt before the court prior to the presentation of the evidence for the prosecution. Number 8, that the offender is deaf and dumb, blind, or otherwise suffering some physical defect which does restrict his means of action, defense, or communication with his fellow beings. Number 9, some illness of the offender as would diminish the exercise of the willpower of the offender without, however, depriving him of the consciousness of his act. Number 10, and finally, any other circumstances of a similar nature and analogous of those above. Article 14, aggravating circumstances. The following are aggravating circumstances. The advantage to be taken by the offender of his public position. Number 2, that the crime be committed in contempt or with insult to the public authorities. Number 3, that the act be committed with insult or in disregard of the respect due the offended party on accounts of his rank, age, or sex, or that is be committed in the dwelling of the offender party, if the latter has not given provocation. Number 4, that the act be committed with abuse of confidence or abuse ungratefulness. Number 5, that the crime be committed in the palace of the chief executive or in his presence or where public authorities are engaged in the discharge of their duties or in a place dedicated to religious worship. Number 6, that the crime be committed in the night time or in an in an inhabited place or by an band. Whenever such circumstances may facilitate or commission of the offense. Whenever more than 3 armed malefactors shall have acted together in the commission of an offense, it shall be them to have been committed by a band. Number 7, that the crime be committed on the occasion of complication, shipwreck, earthquake, epidemic, or other calamity or misfortune. Number 8, that the crime be committed with the aid of armed men or person who ensure or afford impunity. Number 9, that the accused is recidivist. A recidivist is one who at the time of his trial for one crime shall have been previously convicted by final judgment of another crime embraced in the same title of this code. Number 10, that the offender has been previously punished by an offense to which the lawful attach on equal or greater penalty or for 2 or more crimes to which it's attached a lighter penalty. Number 11, that the crime be committed in consideration of a price, required or promise. Number 12, that the crime be committed by means of inundation, fire, poison, explosion, stranding of a vessel or international damage thereto, derailment of a locomotive, or by the use of any other artifice involving great waste and ruin. Number 13, that the act be committed with evidence premeditation. Number 14, that the craft, fraud, or disguise by employed. Number 15, that advantage be taken or superior strength or means be employed be weakened the defense. Number 16, that the act be committed with treachery. There is treachery when the offender commit any of the crimes against the persons employing means, method or forms in the execution thereof which tend directly and especially to ensure its execution without risk to himself arising from the defense which the offended party might make. Number 17, that means be employed or circumstances brought about which add ignominy to the natural effects of the act. Number 18, that the crimes be committed after an unlawful entry. There is an unlawful entry when an entrance of a crime, a wall, roof, floor, door, or window be broken. Number 20, that the crime be committed with the aid of a person under 15 years of age or by means of motor vehicle, motorized, watercraft, airship, or other similar means. 21. That the wrong done in the commission of the crime to be deliberately augmented by causing other wrong not necessary for its commission. Now, Chapter 5, Alternative Circumstances, Article 11. Their concept. Alternative circumstances are those which must be taken into consideration as aggravating or mitigating according to the nature and effect of the crime and the other